So today I've got another unbeaten deck on the ladder, and this one felt so nice to pilot. Amazing value every single turn, and we can barely be blocked when we jam that attack all button. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today I'm in Abzan. I've got a bunch of legendary humans with low power but great triggers, and I didn't lose a game. This deck felt so smooth and synergistic, I highly recommend it. Let's dive right in though to the deck and start with the 3 humans that overperformed for me today. Firstly, Delney. Our game plan here is to go wide and stay low with our power. Delney is a 3-drop that says your creatures with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or more, and you get to add an extra trigger to any creature you control whose power is 2 or less. Both these points are key to every other creature we have in this deck. Torrens is my MVP of the deck though. It is a 2/2 with training that creates a 1/1 human with training every time you cast a human. Now we cast a lot, and so we create a lot of tokens in this deck. They block well but can attack hard when you have Delney out. I'm also playing Kellen, my favourite 2-drop creature in Standard. Attack with this to draw humans and scry away those lands that you don't need. Delney doubles the trigger and only allows it to be blocked by creatures with 2 power or less, and its stats make it a very favourable attack most turns. Next up we have Jirina. This creature gives hexproof and indestructible to all humans when it's sacrificed for no cost, and it deals with your opponent's graveyard. This is a must play in any human deck in the meta at the moment. I've got Thalia as we run only creatures here, and Teysa. It's a new card from Karlov Manor, but it's a 2/3 with Death Touch, and you investigate in your end step if an opponent lost life this turn. When you do sack a clue, you make a 1/1 flyer. It's a perfect defensive creature whilst we attack with the others to make the clue, then draw cards and make spirits, hopefully triggering additional times. Speaking of triggering additional times, I will never play a tribal deck without my good friend Roaming Throne to gain even more triggers from our humans. It's our only over 2 powered creature, but I'll leave it back anyway as an annoying blocker for our opponents. Warden is our 1-drop which can tap the clues and token humans we create to make it fly and get bigger if needed. Don't forget, leaving its power underneath 3 though is normally enough for us here. Got Adeline to make more bodies, Catilda makes our humans tap for mana, Lunart Veteran for life gain, and finally Loran. This card is valuable for us today. You can easily pick off multiple permanents when it ETBs, and its vigilance is great for us when it can't be blocked. I've got 25 lands, and we get to play multiple channel lands as most of our creatures are legendary, and that's today's deck. There are plenty of alternatives in this deck if you want to go Mardu or straight up Orzhov, but I wanted to use Torrens, and Abzan has done the job for me today, so I'm not going to complain one little bit. Using Delney makes most games winnable, and as you will see, I never really felt under any threat with this deck at all. So have a watch, and whilst you're doing that, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't and smash that like button. Your support means the world to this channel, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Okay then, game 1 of our Abzan adventure here with our human deck. On the draw, hand looks pretty nice though, as we have Torrens in it. Torrens is the first card I put in this deck. It's the card that I'm trying to build a deck around because I think it's pretty sweet, and I think you can quite quickly build your board up, especially with any board wipes. Okay, played the wrong land there. Forget that happened. I was hoping to drop the Warden there, but guess we'll just have to wait. We'll be playing Thalia next turn into Torrens as it stands at the moment, because that will enable us to start creating lots of 1/1s with training. But Thalia should hopefully slow the opponent down if they're on some kind of spells deck. They are on a 4-colour deck at the moment and a Stomper. So a ramping away for them, but Stomper doesn't block. But yeah, we should have a Warden on the battlefield. My bad. Play Torrens though, and we can always double spell next turn. Really want to get Teysa down, as when you hit the opponent, or when they lose life on their turn, in your end step you create a clue token, and if you manage to get the Roaming Throne down or the Delney, you're actually going to create 2. Opponent did ramp there with Expand the Sphere, so their Stomper does attack, and we draw Delney. Okay, Delney's going to make our creatures be able to attack through this Stomper, but I'm going for Teysa. I think the card's good, and I want it on the battlefield, mainly as a blocker, because they're already up to 7 mana. And you can just see already now we have a very wide board, and we might as well tap our Warden here. And there's a Torrens on top, which I don't want. Okay, so next turn, we're going to have a pretty nice attack when we get to play Delney. So we'll see what they're up to, but they have a lot of mana. I'm a bit wary of like a Sunfall or something, but it's just a Tortoise for our opponent. Another creature whose power is large enough for us that we can attack straight through it. In comes the Stomper. Well, not going to block that. Then yeah, hopefully they don't follow up with any other spells. Looking for a Jirina maybe to give all of our creatures hexproof and indestructible when you sacrifice it. So we find a Takenuma. We'll play it. So we have 6 mana here. We could always hold open the Plaza if we want to. But I think it's good to get Delney down. And what's good for us here is that the training is going to trigger twice. So some of our creatures are going to get quite large. And it will mean if they want to block with the Tortoise, they're going to lose their Tortoise. So it's kind of giving them the option here to block with that. But most of our creatures are unblockable here. And they take out one of the 3/3s, which is fine by me. Well, block with one of them. And we're going to get through here. And Teysa is going to trigger twice because of Delney. And we're going to get 2 clues. And we can sacrifice one of those on our opponent's turn to make a 1/1 flyer. Also draw a card. So looking good for us here. They're going to need a board wipe right now because that is a lot of damage. And they've been thinking about this turn for a long time. And yeah, they see the writing on the wall and scoop it straight up. Alright, game number 2 on the play. And we have one of my favourite creatures in the whole of Standard, and that is Kellen. So unfortunately, we don't have a green mana there for Kellen's adventure. But our opponent is on Boros. I'm going to go for Kellen. They can kill it if they want to, but if they don't, we're going to get a lot of value from this straight away. Coppercoat Vanguard. Okay, well that's good. They're going to lose their creature if they block this, so probably want to attack first, although Delney would be nice to get an extra trigger, I guess. So we'll attack with Kellen, and we're going to look at the top of our library twice, and we'll take Catilda and Teysa. Alright, so they're playing the Vanguard, which is a card which obviously buffs humans, but not great in our deck when we want to keep our power of our creatures low. Opponent plays it Get Lost on our Delney. That's okay with me. If they're using Insurrection on our spells, it means they're not adding to the board, so we can ourselves. And Thalia and Jirina here are perfect cards for us. Get to exile their graveyard. Not quite so relevant now. And that is a Courtyard on top. And we don't want that. We'll put that back in our grave. So we can sacrifice Jirina here at any point to give all of our humans indestructible and hexproof until end of turn. There's an Adeline for our opponent. But no decent attack here with their Vanguard. We have Thalia available. And there's Roaming Throne. I'm never going to play a tribal deck without Roaming Throne. So although its stat lines make it a little bit awkward with Delney, I do like it. I'm going to try and find a way to get Kellen to a high enough total so it can attack through this Adeline, and Lunar Veteran on top is going to allow me to do that, even though I don't really want the card and we're going to put it in the graveyard eventually. It means we can attack here with Kellen, and they're going to lose their Adeline if they want to block here, which I doubt it. So they go down to 12, and we gain a clue through Teysa. So are we up against the mirror match here? Opponent with the Wandering Emperor to take care of our Kellen, I would presume. But I like Kellen, so we will sacrifice Jirina here to give it hexproof. All our creatures are now indestructible, so opponent does not attack. Okay, so we'll play the Courtyard. Really want to deal with the Wandering Emperor, so I guess the Death Touch on Teysa means that we can just attack with it. They'll lose one of their creatures if they want to block. So let's try and get rid of this Wandering Emperor. And that's fine. And I guess we'll just play what we can. We'll play the Roaming Throne here, name a human. Play Catilda, so now all of our creatures actually tap for mana. So we can sacrifice this clue if we need to, whenever we want, make a 1/1. But yeah, we're not really under any threat here. We're just putting bodies on the board. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have a board wipe. I doubt it, as they look like they're playing a creature heavy deck. And they look like they've got the Mardu version of this deck. I played this in the last set. Mishra is extremely good when you have like a roaming throne out. You get to double its trigger. But I don't really care too much about their board at the minute. I'm definitely going to trade off my roaming throne for their Adeline though. I think that is a decent trade. Right, okay, so we have a Takenuma in our hand, which is nice because that can bring back a creature from our graveyard. So let's fill the board here. Let's get as much down as we can. And I guess we can attack here with Teysa. I highly doubt they're going to block, but this will create a clue. And then we can just play our other Teysa here as a blocker. Okay, so we're going to go wide. We're going to try and win the game that way. Now, I know their deck is pretty explosive, so if they find like a roaming throne, we could be in trouble. They do have an Impact Owl and a Godric, so should be okay here. We can block all their creatures. I'm not sure we can win though next turn, even with Delney on the battlefield. They're gaining life back with their Mishra. We'll see how this goes. We're going to gain back life when our creatures die through our Luminous Phantom. So we'll just block accordingly and see where we are. Can sack our clue here as we have Catilda on the board. And we find a Roaming Throne ourselves. Okay, Roaming Throne's going to be nice because it's going to give extra triggers to our trainees. And we find a Warden there. So even with Delney on the battlefield, I don't think we can win. But I don't think we're going to be losing anytime soon. So let's drop all of our hand again. We could always find Jirina if we wanted to. Give all of our creatures hexproof and indestructible, but don't think I need to right now. We can poke them with a small attack, maybe with the Thalia, Kellen, the trainees. Let's have a little look. So we've got an attack here with Kellen, definitely. That will just trigger, even though they can just block that with Mishra. I guess Thalia can't be blocked by their two big creatures. The Death Toucher, let's hold that back in case they want to attack with Mishra. Hold back Catilda. We can attack with Torrens here. It's going to get training a couple of times. And I guess we can attack with the 1-1 as well. So a whole bunch of triggers here. Let's see where this goes. Courtyard, don't need that. And Thalia, don't really need that either. So I don't think I had lethal. If I did, please let me know. They do go for the double block here. And they're preserving their Mishra, but they're going to take a whole heap of damage here. So they go down to 7. Alright. We go up to 18. And can they kill us in one turn? I guess we get to play the Warden here. Make some more 1-1s. Let's see how this goes. Opponent with a land and another copy of an Impact Out, and we should be okay here. There's no way we die. We go down to 14, and we can just block around the board, and we can swing in next turn for lethal. They're pumping their Godric. Fortunately, it doesn't have trample. And yeah, we'll just go to block. So I guess we can block Godric with our 1-1. Mishra with a 1-1, and it doesn't really matter too much. They're on 11 life, and we can just swing in. So we'll see how our life total is after this attack, but I'm pretty sure we are going to be staying on 14. And yeah, a whole load more life gained with the Phantom. So Delney is doubling that trigger, and this is a huge swing by us. Lots of training triggers, and there's no way the opponent is going to survive here, and they just let the damage go through, and we've just taken down a kind of mirror match. But yeah, that felt good. Alright, game number 3. So we are on a 2-0 winning record so far. I do like this hand on the play as we get to play Kellen's Sorcery for the first time here with our untapped Forest. And we get to make a map token. Pretty rare that can happen. Opponent is playing Skrelv. Okay, so they played a Thicket. Not sure what we're up against just yet, but I will play Kellen as my turn 2 play. And Skrelv doesn't block, so this is nice. Crawling Chorus. So are we up against Toxic? Poison deck? Maybe. Opponent passes their turn, and we find a Warden. Okay, well, I guess just going to go to attack now. See if they want to block. See what is on top of our library. It's Loran. Loran's nice. Loran can deal with Skrelv here. And if we find a Delney, Loran can actually pick off a couple of artifacts as it ETBs, but always want to drop Torrens if you get a chance on turn 3. So their Chorus does actually block our creatures. It's a low-powered creature, and so does this Duelist actually. Now we're not holding any removal in our deck. In the past I would have probably played a Brutal Cathar, but I just don't see the need. I think Brutal Cathar in the past would have dealt with things like Sheoldred and bigger threats, maybe like a Obliterator, but hopefully our deck is built around Delney, so hopefully we can just attack straight through those kind of cards. I'm going to go with a Warden here to make a 1-1, and then we have options. I think I'll go with Loran here though. Can pick off this Skrelv. Could take care of the Audacity, but I'm not really that bothered about that, to be completely honest. All it's doing is adding extra power to this Crawling Chorus. And I don't think the Crawling Chorus is going to be of any problem to us. And also, it having a large power is going to mean if we can get a Delney, it's not going to be able to block. So, with a nice little attack here, their Duelist can't really kill our Kellen. Cavern of Souls on the top. We'll keep that there so that we can double spell next turn. And I guess we might as well just use our Warden. Tap the 1/1s. I don't care if our Loran dies. I'll trade that off. Or I'll just block with it, to be honest, because we can always get that back with Takenuma later. But I quite like having the training creatures on the battlefield. So I'm just going to preserve my life total by blocking this Duelist. I just want to keep my poison total above or below 3. So I'm going to sacrifice my Loran here. Okay, they have Acrobatic Leap. Right, okay. So they're going to give their Chorus flying, but it had already been blocked. I don't know. Maybe they should have given that Duelist of theirs flying before they attacked, and they would have got 2 poison to us, but so be it. We're just going to unleash our hand here anyway. We're going to go very wide here, and the opponent needs a board wipe. Yeah, they can't handle Torrens, I don't think, and they scoop it up. 3 wins. Alright, game number 4 here. On a winning streak. And we get to journey on turn 1 again with Kellen here. This deck feels so sweet. I'm really liking it. And I'm going to do what I like to do and get Kellen down turn 2. They got to deal with it if they have the opportunity, as this card can quickly fix our hand. Okay, they're on Orzhov, so if they've got colours, if they're using removal, it's in the colours that they've got, and it is Virtue, sure. Okay, well, we'll just keep playing our spells. Let's go for Adeline here. Adeline means that if we get Delney down next turn, we can trigger an extra time. And they're hovering over our card, okay. More removal, sure. So a lot of removal from our opponent, but they're not actually adding anything to the board here. So they've been caught up just removing our threats. But we're just going to keep deploying them. And if they're playing Go for the Throat and Virtue, then Roaming Throne gets through that. They've got a Steel Seraph here. But that can't really block our throne, otherwise they're going to lose that. But yeah, I mean, I guess we can just attack now, and we'll drop Teysa down in our second main to make sure we get a clue. if they don't block our throne. I guess the problem with the Steel Seraph here is it's just going to gain them back 3 life every turn. And yeah, we'll play Teysa, we'll play Catilda, we'll draw or we'll get a couple of clues because the roaming throne has named it human. And yeah, I mean, our board state's pretty nice. Get more removal, but we have some clues now, so we can start refilling our hands. And they give their Seraph Vigilance, which is interesting. So that points that they're gonna block. Huh. Alright, well, let's sack a clue. See what we find. Okay, well, we find Loran, which is gonna take care of the Steel Seraph. I guess we do it now so that they can't keep gaining life. Or they can't gain life. And yeah, Loran would trigger twice here. If Delney was out, it would trigger a 3rd time. And we can even play the Warden, and we can even tap the tokens and itself here to find a Callan now on top. Okay, well, we're building up a nice little board here. I guess they might have a board wipe. If they've got one, they've got one. Get lost. Okay, so that's the 4th removal from our opponent. But yeah, there's nothing on the board for us to worry about. So this voice, not too much of a problem for me here because we can play Delney. In fact, the bigger the voice gets, the better for us. But we'll play Delney anyway. We'll play Callan. And then we will attack with our throne. And let's offer the trade with Loran. There's no way they block. Oh, they have blocked. Okay, I did not expect them to block there. They go down to 8. And yeah, I'm still very, very happy with where we are at the minute. Resplendent Angel and Warden. Well, we can explore onto Catilda here, looking for a... Yeah, I think Catilda, looking for a permanent on top. Oh, there's Adeline. So now I don't want to explore anymore, because if we attack with everyone here, they need to block our roaming throne with their Resplendent Angel just to stay alive. And this is a pretty sneaky little attack as we get to attack through their Angel with our Delney on the board. So yeah, it just goes to show how powerful this deck can be. Unblockable is such a cool effect. An opponent just takes it all and dies, and we've just gone 4-0 pretty quickly. Alright, game number 5. On the draw this time. Okay, we cannot play our Kellen Sorcery on turn 1 here. So that is unfortunate, but so be it. It's not the end of the world. Opponent with an Otawara and a Plains. Okay, well, we'll play the Cavern now to make them feel dejected if they're holding a counter spell up, as we name human and drop our Callan. Sure, they've got a counter spell available up there. That's why I played Cavern on turn 2 into blue mana. They just passed the turn. And yeah, we can just keep deploying our threats, but we'll go in with Callan first. See what is on top. It's a Takenuma. I really like Takenuma. I think it's really sweet in this deck. Most of the time we can cast it for just 1 mana, and it brings back our creature, especially Jirina. We'll drop Torrens here. So if opponent was holding a removal spell, then a removal and a counter spell, they've just taken 2 damage. Okay, and they do have a 4th mana here, and it is the Wandering Emperor for the opponent. So presumably they're going to go for Callan, which they do. But they're going to lose their Emperor here with Torrens. I guess they did it the right way if they wanted to make sure that we didn't trigger our Callan by them doing it on our turn. But yeah, we have other Callans in our hand. Not really that bothered, and we will take care of the Wandering Emperor here. So I don't want to go too crazy. We're up against the colours where I presume they've got Sunfalls and Farewells. Fortunately, they get round our Jirina, which we haven't drawn yet. And they Otawara our token, okay. Alright, let's attack Anuma here and see what we can grab. Adeline. Sure. I don't want to go too crazy into these colours, so we will just drop Adeline here and we will attack our opponent. And we're starting to go a little bit wide. We're going to get 5 damage in here. And we don't need that. The Aganjo. Probably not going to be useful against our opponent here, as they drop their 6th mana. And do we see a Sunfall or something? No. Okay. Interesting. Alright, well, let's just go to attacks. I'm not going to overexert my creatures onto the board, so they've got something, and it is Urza's rebuff to tap down 2 of our creatures. Fair enough. I mean, that is a counter spell that they've probably been holding for us. But our Cavern of Souls has been working great here. And we get to see a Loran on top, and I will keep that. It deals with any enchantments or artifacts our opponent may have coming, but they're down to 9. Yeah, they need to wipe this board now. But our hand is still stacked, so we're going to rebuild pretty quickly. Okay, there's Farewell. And we draw Teysa. Okay, so we're going to be able to rebuild pretty quickly here. So we'll drop Kellen. Opponent's already shown us that they don't like this card. And let's play Catilda here. Catilda not so great for us at the moment, but our board might be weak enough for them not to want to throw down another Farewell for the moment. Instead they played Jace. I think if we'd played Adeline, they may well have board wiped if they had one. Fateful Absence, okay. Sure. So Kellen bites the dust again, and opponent is targeting our Catilda with their Jace. So that's probably their win com. We find a Boseiju and a Roaming Throne. Okay, well, we're going to need to put some gas on the board, though, if we're going to ever defeat this Jace. So we'll pass the turn. We'll keep the Boseiju back in case we need to deal with one of our opponent's threats. A artifact or enchantment. Okay, it's Farewell, sure. So they did have another copy in their hand. But yeah, I mean, we've still got a couple of plays to go. Opponent is up in their Jace. Okay, so we find Adeline. I mean, that's going to be pretty crushing for our opponent if they don't have a way to deal with our board. So we'll play Adeline, we'll play Teysa here. And I guess this time we'll just drop our Boseiju. We have Loran available to deal with artifacts or enchantments. Teresian Mindbreaker. Right, so they're going to try and mill us. Okay, I mean, Loran's pretty nice in the face of this 6/4 from our opponent. So we'll play this. That can deal with their creature. They're going to be able to just recast that from the graveyard to mill us half of our life, but we're going to do some significant damage to Jace here. So although it's got 8 loyalty, they never cashed it in. They're going to lose 6, I think. It goes down to 2, yep. Okay, and they find a land. So I believe we might have lethal. They have to attack because this creature's going to be sacrificed. We lose half our library. We find a veteran in there, and I'm not going to block this. I guess their only play is to up Jace and hit one of our creatures. They've gone for Adeline. And do we have enough damage to kill our opponent next turn? That's the question. Roaming Throne and Veteran should be just enough to get the Adeline up high enough. So we'll drop that. We'll drop Roaming Throne, we'll name Human, and we'll just attack down our opponent. And yeah, just shows how well this deck can do in the face of 2 Farewells. An opponent scoops it up, gone 5-0. Alright, last round, final boss to go for the big 6-0. We get to go on the play. Hand wasn't very good. This hand's much better. Here's Jirina. Is this card going to come in and save us in the last game? Whenever I've played this card before, I've always been pleasantly surprised. I was hoping we were going to come up against a few more graveyard decks than we have been to maximise its ETB, but we'll play Thalia here as our turn 2. Opponent is on Selesnya, it looks like, and a Scrap Gorger. Okay, well, can't really attack through the Scrap Gorger, unfortunately. It's actually a pretty nice card to play against us. So we'll just try and attack. They may not block here. They don't, okay. They fell for our traps there as we get to play Teysa. Second main, get a clue. They absolutely needed to block that. We got a sneaky little cheeky clue there. But they've got 4 mana here, so we'll see what they throw down. Okay, they're tapping very carefully. Clay Champion, okay. Not a card you see often, it's a 5/5. We don't have our Delney, so we can't really attack through it. I guess we can attack with here with Teysa. They're not going to block this, are they? They're thinking about it. So we could have played Jirina pre-combat, but I actually do want them to block. They don't. They're just going to take the damage. So we're going to get a clue here. And what can we do about this Clay Champion? We have Loran available if we need to. We could play Jirina here. Okay. We can do a really cheeky play, actually. We don't have white mana, but if we play Catilda here, that will mean that Thalia can tap for white mana. And, yeah, we're going to do a very sneaky little play here if they want to attack with this 5/5. Okay, they've got Jugan, sure. Not really sure what kind of deck we're playing against here. I really wanted a Loran here. That would take care of some of this stuff. Okay, they are attacking with the 5/5. So we can just block it with Thalia. I've gone into full control because I'm not sure how this works. We can block, and then before first strike damage, so after blocks, before first strike, we can Iganjo the Clay Champion. We can throw 4 damage onto it. Tap in the Thalia because of Catilda. And then first strike damage can happen, and Thalia can block and not die and take care of their creature. And opponent scoops it straight up. Nice.